Okay, are you ready to do the lesson? Something like that. So, as I've explained to you before, and that I'm a hunter. I hunt all types of things. You name it. I'm going to go over the things that you can think of. I only have a few hours today, so I'm going to briefly explain to you some of the things that I've learned. So you can write it down if you want, and if you have any other questions, because I don't think I'm gonna come back here and do over, this area again, because this area is not really, it's not very my type of area. I want to move on because hunters always move around. I don't stay in one place. I move around. So let's just go ahead and look into the ghost aspect of this thing, okay? So ghosts are also called spirits. There are souls of the deceased humans that didn't go with their reaper to heaven or hell, and they're stuck on earth. So, little bit of background. The word ghost is a common term for a soul that did not move on to the afterlife after they perished. They typically reside. They typically reside in the veil, but they can occasionally appear in physical force. Description of the apparition of ghosts vary widely. The mode of manifestation can range from, invisible presence to translucent and wispy shapes to realistic lifelike vision. There are also the most occurring monsters, because it's a daily thing for us. If you really want to concentrate on being a hunter, you're gonna really have to study the ghosts first. That's like a basic course for this initiation, whichever. So I've seen, gosh, like so many. I don't really care much. The first ghost I've seen was in physical form. Because when you're feeling a bit scared, I guess, when I was a little girl, I was scared, and I see the ghost in full form, because when they are scared, when humans are scared, the ghosts get some of those negative energies around them and really draw into that energy, and they have the ability to form their appearance and also touch and influence objects. So I have seen a female ghost when I was a child. I knew it's something different because their face was so different. Didn't look like human, looked like bloody mess. It was really, really scary, very scary. But I was a kid. I saw it, and then it kind of looked at me and, like walked towards me and stuff. So I just stood up and ran away. And that was in my, I think it was my aunt's place. Yeah, then I never came back again. I never even told my aunt until now. And of course, when you're a hunter, you try not to tell it to your friends and family about this, because it's very, very dangerous. And my family doesn't know that I'm a hunter. They only know me as a bum moving from place to place. Anyways, let's look into some of the stuff, more detailed stuff about the ghosts you know. So ghost is a spirit in a deceased person, like I said before, for some reason or another, and it's unable to pass on to the next life, or whose rest has been disturbed. So ghosts are neither good or evil, as their behavior is ultimately dictated by whom they were in life and how they died. So as I said, I don't believe that ghost that I saw, my first ghost that I saw, I don't think she was an evil person. It's just the way she died that portrayed her anger and resentment, and she just looks like her face was very messed up and stuff. So it's very sad. But my aunt moved on, so I didn't go back to that place anymore. I guess she'll always have a special, scary little space in my heart. And now let's go to, normally ghosts will start out confused and disorientated, and I've seen a lot of those confused types before realizing they're dead. In some cases, the trauma is sudden death can be really great, and the ghost will think they're still alive and continue on a routine from their lives, and obviously it's to a obvious degree, when they're dead you just think that they're alive. And it's such a big level of ignorance when they can go through stuff. They just think that they're a little bit special and alive. So I've seen ghosts like that before, many times, and I think like most of the times they don't really realize that they're passed on. In my case, last time I was investigating this case, some family explained to me they were very desperate and they asked me to help them. They actually thought that the house was haunted, and and I investigated everything, and the ghost that was haunting them was actually the ex, like the previous husband of this current family. So he didn't really know what was going on. He was very angry and upset, of course, as you can imagine, and he was quite violent because of what he was seeing and what's going on. He didn't really know that he passed on. So it had to be done very gently. Try to be very gentle about it, but if it doesn't work, then go to the hard ways, to get rid of them. And that's part of being a hunter. You have to use soft method, hard method. Just force, and don't really need to force so much. Most of the times you can get rid of them or like help them move on easily, but sometimes it doesn't work. So when it happens, you need to know how to do that. So the common understanding is that ghosts, the longer a ghost remains on the earth, the more dangerous or the more violent it becomes, because you really need to draw more energy from a living person to become more stronger. And they seem to have easily get the energy from a negative energy. So when the person is more scared, they become more powerful, and then they can exist longer. So the longer they stay, the more violent it becomes. And also ghosts can become more like injured animals. They become so angry and upset that all they do is lash out at anyone who crosses their path. So that's sometimes what you see. There's also common types of paranormal activity in the ghosts itself, because there's a lot of humans and they pass on quite a lot. And it's a lot of, just probability wise, it's more common than the other supernatural beings. Ghosts are the most common. That's what I said. Like, you have to know all of this. That would be your basic 101, Hunter 101. And so I will tell you, ghosts are often bound to an object or a place. Normally the building they died or lived in, or the area where they died. As such, their movements are restricted, but this not really universal. Some very powerful ghosts can move over larger distances, so unless they can move what they're bound to, they can never be totally free. So they are also sometimes bound to their bodies unless their bodies have been put to rest. So like, if they're bound to an object, for example, that case that I told you about, the ex-husband, he was bound to the sort of family item that the son was carrying around because of his father's memory. And then whenever they moved, he was constantly there. But it just happens that when they moved into this new house, they had a new family member join, a new father figure, I guess, a new husband joined in this house. It really thought that it was the house, but it wasn't the house. So yeah. So a very interesting thing is that often ghosts bring more or other things from their lives as well as their spirit. So an object that is very closely linked to ghosts during their life, or linked strongly to their death, are sometimes recreated from their ghosts. So this is the reason why ghosts of cars and ships exist. A very minor example of this is ghosts often wear the clothes they died in. So the case of the father, the ex-husband, I'm not really sure if I could call it ex-husband, but I would say the last departed husband he was just wearing some brown sweater and normal trousers. I don't know, he didn't really have any injuries on the face or anything, because maybe he really thought that he was alive. So I don't know why he was wearing that, but he was wearing that. It's generally not known where ghosts go after their remains are burned. So it was revealed that some of the reapers still indeed take their final resting place. If reaper is influenced by an outside source, they may take the soul to the wrong place. That is also a very deeper level of thinking. We will need to get into that another time, really. Now let's look at the appearance of the ghosts. As I've said before, ghosts could appear in many different shapes and forms. Normally ghosts appear in the form of physical body, which they had when they were still alive. So these forms will often be pale compared to the bodies of the living. Then sometimes the ghost's form will look as it did when they died. I guess it's the school nearby, so it's alright. And this will show the ghost form will show physical effects of the way they died. Ghosts are also able to appear in smoke forms similar to demons. Their smoke forms, however, is more transparent gray than black. Okay, demons are black. So I don't believe that you have met any demon Maybe you did, but they're very easy to disguise, so you couldn't really tell. So if you're a newbie, I wouldn't suggest you to go around meddling with any demons. Yeah, I would maybe like you could start with simple small thing like ghosts. Yeah, but like I said, there are differences. It really depends on the person, him or herself. I guess the first time I saw that crazy woman ghost, she had a messed up face. It did look like she was a Walking Dead zombie kind of look. But yeah, so and the father that I told you about, or the husband that I told you about, his face or his appearance had been not affected at all. There was no blood or anything, nothing. And more common source of appearance is like a wispy type of thing. It's like you can sort of, some of them even you can't really tell they're there, because without implements or anything you can't really see, but you can feel the ghosts around. Like, you know, like when you get a chill down your spine kind of feeling, cold kind of feeling, and your hair raises at the end. That's a typical instinct that is given to you by um, that's how we're born with. Yeah, so then that's, you could just use some of your instincts to detect if there's a ghost or anything happening around you. So when you have some chill cool spots, that's kind of, you can feel the cool spots. So that's the very low form of ghost. They don't really know how to, I guess they don't sort of how do I say, they are not really formed enough to implement things and move around things or harm you at all. It's just that they're there and they're not really happy and they're just there, you know. So yeah, I've seen a lot. That's actually more common. I've been to like a cinema area the other time, public cinema, everybody's there, and you would think that the ghost would not be so much there, because it's like there's so many people. Why would the ghost be in that place? And but one corner particularly was super chill and cool, and you can just feel the ghost is there. Like, you can feel it. I watched the movie with my friend, and yeah, it's not bothering anyone, so I just left. So yeah, now we can look at summoning for ghosts on really rare occasions. Actually, it's quite, oh, there you go, Thor, the thunder. Or very rare occasions, it is possible to summon a spirit back to Earth for any reason. However, it's just so risky. It's a risky practice considering the unpredictable nature of ghosts. Ghosts summoned through black arts can turn violent if the summoner loses control of them, usually as a result of having their rest disturbed and being forced to turn against their will. So of course, like this, you could relate, like if you're relaxing and in a very peaceful place, you're summoned back to Earth where nobody can see you, feel you, hear you, talk to you, anything. Obviously you'll get very disturbed. But it can be possible to obtain information from a ghost if one has something or is able to do something that will please them. Sometimes, right, they're like tied to their living families or friends, and yeah, you could do something good for them for once in a while, and not just for a favor, you know. You can do out of your kindness of your heart, depending on the ghosts themselves. I did help them to bury their bodies one time, and really helped some of the last messages to pass on. and there were some letters that they wrote, but it fell down and nobody saw that, and I had to find it and mail it. That was quite a lot of a lot of things. Like, it's easy, you just need to be a bit kinder. Yeah. Now so it's possible to bind ghosts and control them, but it's very powerful black magic. So certain powerful beings can naturally summon and control ghosts. Examples are multicolored demon Samhain and the Egyptian god of death Osiris. There's also a demon called Lilith. Can be able to raise weaknesses. She could control them. So these are very bad examples of how you shouldn't do that. Try to meddle with anything, especially demons, and Lilith is super powerful. So no. It's hard for us seasoned hunters to even deal with anything like demons or anything like the top chain of the demon is not for us to handle. There are few handful of hunters that are more experienced and professional in this type of field. If there's a huge problem, we would call them, and they're actually brothers. So yeah. Oh, they're called Sam and Dean Winchesters. You can call them, but you have to go through me first. They're very security is super tight. So you can use a binding spell, of course, to bind a ghost to your will and wreak all sort of havoc, including murder, which has happened at a very high level for me. Yeah, so breaking the spell is as simple as knocking over the altar that is part of it, but the ghost can still remain summoned afterwards to do whatever it wants if it chooses to do. So that's the thing. You would never, as a newbie, summon the ghosts. It's always very risky. People always say that, especially kids, they have that, Ouija boards and what have you, and they will use it to extract information, have fun, a little, tickle, and then just leave it open, and you think that it will not bite back. Of course, really. It's really stupid to do all those things. If you're not a professional, not at all. There are many types of ghosts in this world. Really, really different types of death situations where they're alive. So these mainly include violent spirits. There are many categories. I'm telling the categories: violent spirit, death omen, death echo, poltergeists, and vengeful spirits, buru and revenant, woman in white. Like I told you the other time, I saw a woman in white. She's not really violent, but she's just scary, Spectre and Mylene, and the last one is Pontianak. Pontianaks are Southeast Asian ghosts. I can tell you a little bit about the powers and abilities. Ghosts possess several powers, though it is, speculated that some have not been revealed yet. It's like different array of things, just like humans. They're like really near neighboring alien, which we know a little bit about, not all of it. The following list, right? So many lists of the powers that we have here. Like I have all these lists. Not all ghosts have the same abilities, yeah, but many of them share the similar powers if a ghost power will have a link, often they will have a link to how they died, exactly like I said. So common powers include electromagnetic interference. All ghosts disrupt nearby electronic with their presence. Like that's how you see like light flickering. Common sign. And we have EMF, frequency, electromagnetic frequency detectors, and it will go like zoom, zoom when it's nearby. It detects, like that's the thing. You will need to have that if you want to go into this profession. And they also have a power of thermokinesis. Nearly all ghosts can lower and drop the surrounding temperature with their presence, exactly in the cinema. At the very cold spot, it was very cold, and just the feeling of despair, like alone type of feeling, but it's really chill and cool. Yeah. And ghosts will have the power to become invisible. Ghosts can remain invisible to the living, but they may appear as a blur or faint light. But when they want, they can appear as they were in life, though it takes a while to gain the level of strength. Like, they appear in wispy and distorted flickering norns. Next, there's a power of telekinesis. They're able to move virtually anything with their minds if they have enough concentration on the object. Yeah, and with practice they become stronger telekinetics and able to manipulate many simple objects at once. And very powerful ghosts are highly capable of telekinetics. And like they're able to throw people like the demons can. So that's very, very dangerous types. You will have to know the strength of the ghost that you're dealing with if you're going into this. And there's also a power of teleportation. Ghosts can teleport, means you're able to move in a blink of an eye to the other location. They often display like a flickering appearance when using this ability, like it's very hard to get them when they're like this. They appear in like wispy, distorted, flickering forms, like I said, and they allow themselves to move at a great speed. Like when they flicker, they end up at the either inches away each time they flicker, several feet or miles away. One powerful ghost could teleport while possessing someone, but it had also been active for like 500 years, which may explain the very powerful level of ghosts. There's also another ability that the ghosts may have. It's called super strength. They're also much stronger than what they were when they were humans. Like being incorporeal and being able to generate great amount of force without discomfort. Many have like demonstrated strong enough to be able to beat down, lift, toss, maul, or like mutilate the strongest of humans, as well as overpowering some monsters. It's hugely relevant. And there's also vengeful, angry ghosts have proven to be strong enough to fight with much higher beings, such as high-tier demons and even head leviathans. If you don't know what is a leviathan, you should read up on that. But not now. I mean, like, you shouldn't deal with something you can't deal with. Their strength can be very considered manifestation of their willpower. If they have super willpower, they will have super strengths. Like when you have adrenaline rush, I think that's similar to what they have, like super adrenaline rush non-stop. So now next there's like the power is super speed. after death, many ghosts are able to move at incredible speeds, especially through like teleportation, like I told you. They appear in distorted, flickering forms that allow them to move at great speed. As when they flicker, they can end up either inches away, flicker several miles away. There's also a power of astral perception. After death, ghosts can see beings that are naturally invisible to humans, that are like reapers, demons, and other ghosts. And there's also another power of intangibility. Without a body, these spirits are able to move without hindrance. Even if the objects are in the way, they can just phase through them with ease. They're like naturally intangible, so as they can phase through solid matter unfazed. So, however, it requires them to get angry or alternatively very calm to become tangible. They can phase their hand through people with intangibility and cause like internal injuries or stop the heart. There are a lot of ghosts that are in denial, that go through objects but they still don't believe that they are dead, that type of thing. So next power could be environment manipulation. Most ghosts have shown the ability to manipulate the elements like wind, fire, electricity, power, water, and dropping the temperature. Affinity to fire or water is usually because of the matter of the person's death or ghost's origin. So manipulating electricity and dropping temperature are the most common two common signs of indicate the ghost's presence. Ghosts usually have a natural affinity to what killed them, such as if they have like drowned. Some, if not all, the victims are drowned by either like ghosts pulling them into the water with ease and making it impossible for, or like nearly impossible to get the victims out of the water, as like that kind of thing. Especially when they have willpower, they can really do what they really want to do. And next power is something like not really a power, but it's something that we noticed. So material attachment. Ghosts could latch their essence to objects that have been very close to them in their life. Until these objects are destroyed, the ghosts could continue to manifest itself and haunt. Other ghosts could relocate the objects, allowing them to move around and away from the original haunting location. So like I said, they're tied to an item. I believe the lady in white that I experienced she was maybe attached to the house. So my aunt didn't feel any ghosts, but I did. Maybe they're like prone to, like, once children can see ghosts, like, I don't know why, but they can. So I guess like that's how I saw it. But I don't think that she moved to my new aunt's place again. Yeah, so I think that she was like really haunting that place, maybe where she was killed, maybe. They actually will have skill to whatever they did during their lives, so it's obvious if they have physical ability, super strong ability when they were alive, like they were boxers. They will be very, very, very powerful boxer ghosts. And some weaknesses that you can think of when you're dealing with ghosts. That's very important. You have to go through this list very, very carefully. When you're going to the haunting site, you need to bring all these items and try it. You probably need somebody to kind of sort of hold your hand the first few times. and yeah, move on. And first, let's look at the repellents. Hunters have only two real methods to repel ghosts. So, number one, very, very important thing is salt. You have to have salt everywhere you go. It's your holy water. And no, I mean, like, it's something like your holy water. You have to bring it around everywhere you go. You never know what's going to happen. And ghosts can be repelled by salt. And cannot cross a line made of salt. Some hunters use rock shoot rounds to dissipate the ghosts by blasting them with it. I would suggest this method too. First, like when you do a circle of entrance to the house, or like let the poor person who's being haunted by that spirit and very violent spirit, you'll have to go and put salt around the perimeters of the person. So you can draw a little circle when they're staying in one place, probably sitting down in a chair. You can just put a salt around it, and then a little circle of salt, and yeah, the ghosts cannot harm that person because they cannot cross that line. But that's like a defensive position. If you want an offensive type of weapon, I would say salt rock to shoot them. And so you can also feed salt in the mouth of the person the ghost is possessing, and it will cause the ghost a great deal of pain and force the ghost out and free the human from the ghost's control. Shooting the person with rock salt will break the ghost's possession too, but likely you wouldn't want to do that so much, unless there's like the last hope. You can just I guess shoot the smallest and easiest to recover part, maybe grease around the skin or something. Next method is iron. Like salt, iron keeps spirits at bay. Some hunters use like iron crowbar or fire poker, and like contact with it dissipate the ghost for a couple of minutes. Then you can run away. Touching iron to the skin of a person possessed by a ghost will break their possession. It's also same like the ghost. The salts. Iron is the most important tool aside from salt that you can have in your toolkit. One iron, first salt, and second is iron. Very, very, very important. Hoodoo can be also used to stop the ghosts. Hoodoo can be like they can keep them under control, but this is not a solution. It's just merely a preventative measure. It can also stop it working eventually due to this it's the effect is like any kind of like coffee. If you drink it constantly, the effect of the coffee that you're drinking will not work anymore. So we don't really use it anymore, but you can try it. Maybe the ghosts have not used it. The first time you will use it, then the ghost will be super efficient. Maybe it will work. Yeah. Okay, next, putting the ghost to rest is very important. There are 4 ways to permanently defeat a ghost by putting them to rest. Number 1 is salting and burning the bones. The best and most common method used among us to rest the ghosts, digging up a ghost remain and salting and burning the bones, will help the spirit to cross over to the next life. When the ghost's bones are successfully salted and burned, it will go up in flames. You can see this method is usually used for a vengeful spirits, and also destroying the haunted object, salting and burning the object the ghost is using to stay active in human world will put the ghost to rest if there are no bones to burn, if the object that you consider to be extensions of the remains of their spirits, like sometimes it could be a lock of hair that somebody is just keeping for remembering. Yeah. And you could also use a method for resolving the ghost issue. Helping the ghost to resolve its issue can put a ghost to rest. This method is quite rare, but it's used to benevolent spirits to find peace. Sometimes if a vengeful spirit's not too far gone, a loved one can reach them through the method, some methods to connect to them using a medium. And in the case of the husband, I used like a method to sort of resolving his last issue and communicated with the families. And at first the family was very skeptical about everything, but after a while they realized it was really the ghost of the father and the ex-husband. So they had to talk about it. They had to say the final words to the father. The kids said something. It was a very emotional time, and yeah, when it's done and said, and he actually apologized for causing all this problem, misunderstanding, and yeah, they all forgave each other, and the ghost actually moved on. And we didn't hear anything about the ghost again, because I didn't resort to this method of burning things. Although he was attached to the object that his son was holding, I didn't get to burn it because he was not that far gone. He was just very misunderstood, So ghosts, if you can also use ghosts to fight each other. If two ghosts fight each other, they will both destroy each other and will no longer exist. At least one ghost had the ability to destroy the other ghost and make himself stronger through their energy in the process. And you can also use holy ground, much like demons. Most ghosts can't walk on the holy ground, although, unlike demons, rather than literally being unable to walk on it, ghosts can't, or it will destroy them. Stronger ghosts, such as stronger form of ghosts, they're immune to this limitation though. You can use last rites performed by priests. At least a willing ghost will send that ghost to rest. So there you have it. You have the salt, the iron, and one of the most important topic in the ghost hunting method is your skill of research is the most important, so that you will know who is actually this ghost, likely which era it came from, and what is his or her weakness, and is it violent, or is it using dark voodoo or dark magic, black magic. You really have to do a lot of research to get into this. That's the most important thing. And also salt, always important, and your iron. You can use a fire poker, I guess, but you can just create any type of iron. It's easy to do, but it would be easier if it's resolved in a peaceful manner. I don't think all the ghosts are evil. It's just the few ghosts that are very vengeful, and granted, peaceful ghosts don't really cause trouble, and then when we are called, it's always the vengeful ghosts and sometimes like demons would cause us to be called upon. And then sometimes it's just mostly helping them to move on, talking to them, talking to the loved ones, helping them to pass on the message. And then the last thing that they want to do is just done, and they can rest in peace. But in this profession, you really have to be prepared. You have to research, bring your salt and iron. So hey, that's the end of my ghost thing. Alright, so all this information is very important. I need you to go through them over and over. And if you want to hunt ghosts, you will have to research on that particular house or in that particular site, what happened, what type of thing is going on, and you will have to go through a lot of things first to even go into this field. And you also have to know that it's a lonely road. It's a bum type of situation where you have to move from one place to the other. There's not really a stability. You don't really have a good aspect of future, like family. What are you gonna have? I don't think you'll have like a very family oriented place situation. So you're gonna have to sacrifice quite a lot. And it starts out with ghosts and your friendly neighborhood ghost hunters. But then when it goes deeper into demons, you will really start to isolate yourself. I need you to think about that first. So if you really, 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 after thinking quite a lot, want to join this procedure and join this whole thing, join the road to the supernatural hunters, give me a call. After that, we can go into monster hunting. I'll give you some of the main informations, I think. All right, that's it for now. I need to go, so see you around. Good luck.